A quick reminder for all the champs out there like me and double champs. Like me, it's time to celebrate fantasychamps.com.
Are you reminding yourself?
I'm reminding everyone in this room of my double championship. You got to celebrate. You let them fools know that they stink at fantasy football and you're the best. Fantasy champs.
Talking about us,
belts,
Jason.
rings. Like they have all sorts of customizable stuff as well. And look, hey, for you guys, there is stuff for losers on fantasychamps.com.
Well,
you might want to check that out. I'll send you some links. But fantasychamps.com, use that code BALLERS and save some cash.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Thursday, January 15th, the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Jason Moore, Mike Wright, Andy Holloway, Deucer's Alley, fully staffed today. It's ironic because
Still deucing after all these years.
well, Al got back from vacation right when the Packers went on their vacation.
Oh, did you high five everyone?
Solidarity.
Like at the airport? Where you're like, yeah,
You not ready yet?
let's go to Cabo.
I don't want to be here.
Still? Man, you really...
I knew what was in store for me when I got here today,
Nah.
and you guys didn't disappoint.
No, that was
It's-
immediate.
Yeah. It's just surprising you didn't know what was in store for you before the weekend, though. That's what we're all real surprised about.
That game, we have...
It wasn't in store for him until like the final
I know.
2 minutes of the
I
game.
It
know.
shouldn't have been in store for him at all, whatever happened in that game. It's just we have very passionate Packers and Bears fans in the office, and Jason and I in that channel that whole night, it was just like, we just want this game to be dramatic.
Mhm.
That's all. I don't care.
No
You
horse in the
guys-
race, but I love to
You
watch
did.
someone melt.
No, you had a horse in that race.
Well,
A-
welcome back.
just
Welcome
a
back, Al.
dark horse of pain.
Watch the world burn. This is how us Cardinal fans
Yeah,
deal with things. We're unbiased. We don't care about...
Imagine caring.
I was going to say, I'm jealous that he gets to be upset.
Well,
When's
no,
the last time you were like,
we get to be upset.
we do?
Yeah.
But all the time.
No, but right now, we had have the Arizona Cardinals, the third overall pick. If you have not heard, breaking right before the recording was Oregon quarterback Dante Moore is going back to school, which he would have been the odds-on favorite for the second pick, maybe the first. But either way, a top 2 pick nonetheless, where the Arizona Cardinals then don't have to worry about that. They just take the best non-quarterback player that they want, their pick, and now that is destroyed.
Makes sense. Oh, by the way, we're interviewing Arthur Smith. and the entire community, the Foot Clan, I know what you're rooting for. You want to talk about me and Jason rooting for drama in that game? I know what you're rooting for.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to see it happen.
Unlimited diarrhea.
You are rooting for...
Unlimited.
I mean, I don't even know...
I have planted my flag.
I will have wanted Jonathan...
Your piece out?
Yeah. I'm out. I am OUT, and I will not be tricked. If Arthur comes, a little bit of success, it's next year. If Arthur Smith is hired to the Arizona Cardinals, in 3 years' time, the Arizona Cardinals will be interviewing new head coaches.
I don't care who we hire. In 3 years' time, we're going to be hiring someone new because that's what we do every 3
I
years.
think someone could build something here, but not him.
Not someone that's going to come here.
That guy sucks.
If we're
Arthur Smith is not
that guy
bad.
sucks.
Hold on. If we're going to suck...
How'd his offense look in the playoff game?
It looked like it lacked personnel, big time.
No, it looked like it lacked any sort of idea of what anyone is doing.
If we're going to suck, we might as well have a more entertaining podcast.
Sure.
And that's what Arthur Smith would provide. We have...
You want Trey McBride to see
don't
the
say it.
third
Don't-
most targets on the
No.
Arizona Cardinals?
No, I don't.
That's
No,
what will
no.
happen.
Don't hear what I'm not saying. Arthur Smith sucks for fantasy football. He is a terror, taking Bijan and Drake London and saying, "Hey guys, why don't you calm down? Let's get more people involved that aren't as good as you." It's infuriating. It would be terrible for fantasy football. But as an actual coach, I don't think he is bad. I don't think he's unintelligent. There are some coaches I go, that guy.
No,
is
the truth is
terrible.
Emotionless truth is that he is being interviewed by lots of teams for a reason.
Yeah,
I mean that's the truth. That's
the
how he's
NFL
viewed.
is run by cowards.
I mean, we're not going to talk about him anymore. The truth episode, the first one today, top 10 quarterbacks from 2025, looking at the truth at the quarterback position, what happened this year as a whole in terms of scoring trends at the quarterback position, and then walking through the top 10 finishers. We look at their fantasy points, but we also look at their consistency scores.
Mm-hmm.
How much did they deliver on a week-to-week basis? How much could you count on them? Just because they finished at number 2 or 3 or 5 on the quarterback rankings doesn't mean that they were dependable, doesn't mean that they were the linchpin of fantasy championships. So we're going to take a look at that in detail. And Jason every year puts together these docs with the help of the team in terms of taking a granular approach to how much did they really help you? What is the truth about Drake Maye? What is the truth about Caleb Williams and others? So we're looking at that today. We do have the Fantasy Faceoff as well, and the Jason Moore Wheel of Shame will also be on today's show.
Called Playoff Shame.
Playoff Shame. And, there's a lot going on. A reminder, the DFS Pass completely free right now during the NFL playoffs, dfspass.com, and the community is over at jointhefoot.com. I thought you were going to say something. No. Nothing to say.
I would say I believe Nico would have hit his over if he didn't get injured.
No, you don't.
But I am going to say that.
I know, yes, you are going to say that.
I mean, you got kind of hit by the injury. That was unfortunate.
Yeah, there you go. Into the news we go.
News and notes from around the league.
Well, it didn't really matter what happened with Tyler Loop, because a week later, Mike Tomlin lost his job as well, or stepped down from his job after 19 years. So the Steelers now join the ranks of the Cardinals, Falcons, Ravens, Browns, Raiders, Dolphins, Steelers, Giants, and Titans. I said Steelers twice, but lots of teams that need a new head coach.
Yeah, and there's one team that needs a new OC.
Yeah. Yep. It's
Zero.
Look, there's a lot of teams. This is how you end up with Arthur Smith. That many teams needing coaches.
Yeah, there's not, just the same way that there's not enough great quarterbacks who can truly separate themselves.
Correct.
The truth is there's not that many great head coaches, which is why a lot of franchises, including the Cardinals, you try to take those shots on the guys you have never heard of. When Sean McVay was hired, it was almost a joke. It was like, this guy is younger than like a third of his team, has no experience. And then it turned out Sean McVay was a savant who was worthy of that job, and now it looks foolish to even question that. But for every Sean McVay that you hire, there are plenty of others that you try, you hope, you hire, the next LaFleur, maybe he'll be great. Maybe he'll be like, oh yeah, you're the little brother for a reason.
But this is my argument is don't hire the Arthur Smiths.
Sure.
Arthur Smith might be okay, but there's so many of the retreads that they just keep getting jobs over and over, and it's like mostly everyone's going to fail. Why not hit on a guy like a Sean McVay or LaFleur, where it's like, oh, we found our coach for the next 10 years, instead of like, we're going to find our coach for the next 3 years. It's like, stop doing that.
It is pretty funny how many of the currently just fired coaches are clearly going to be head coaches this coming year. It's like Harbaugh will absolutely be a coach. Stefanski will absolutely be a head coach. It looks like McDaniel will be a head coach. So it's a little bit retread. But then there's also the argument that these guys shouldn't have been fired. You get with Harbaugh, with Tomlin, who Tomlin stepped away, wasn't fired. But I think you get just sick of it, and you're just too used to it. They're not bad coaches. So, like, for the Cardinals, would you take Harbaugh? Would you take Tomlin? That's the question. If Tomlin wanted to come and coach the Cardinals, we'd have to trade something for him or whatever. Would you be happy with that?
The hard part for Tomlin what was his impact on not figuring things out post Ben Roethlisberger? Like, is that just someone else's gaffe? Because there was plenty of years where you're watching Big Ben try to finish his career, and you're like, "What, guys? You got to start taking some shots. You got to start getting some backup quarterbacks in here who might be the future of the team. You know the retirement is coming. So
Well, he's not making personnel moves. So, I mean, that a lot of that doesn't lay at his feet.
That's what I mean. Like, how much is at his feet? I don't have access to that information, but I know that a team without Ben Roethlisberger, even though they lose in the playoffs, they continue to overproduce for what that team look at all the other teams that don't have quarterbacks.
Ravens,
they don't make the playoffs.
Harbaugh and Tomlin, certain coaches like McVay, Mike McDaniel, they have superpowers that we know in terms of play calling.
I think Mike McDaniel should not have been fired. And I would take him.
The superpower for Tomlin and for Harbaugh is accountability. They're leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody on
real
staff,
Jeff Saturday.
every player,
He wishes.
they keep them accountable and they outperform what you expect. I think that's what Stefanski did. I thought in Cleveland they always outperformed the personnel they had.
I agree that they did that.
Would I take him? Of course.
Yeah.
Of course I would. Just for the imbued respect for a couple of years. That's what Bruce Arians brought.
Right.
The league respected him too. So did we talk about Greg Roman going away?
Yeah, I mentioned that G-Row had to get fired. But like the Tomlin and Andy Reid are not the same type of coach because Andy Reid brought his offense. But it's like the Philly people we can't get over the hump. Andy Reid can't do they boot him after being one of, the most successful coaches in Philadelphia history. He gets a job immediately and he's like, "Hey, Alex Smith, you want to go make the playoffs?"
Yeah, unfortunately, coaching in the NFL is if it works out, it's a great hire, and if it doesn't work out, it's an idiotic hire.
Yeah.
It's moronic and stupid, and you should have seen the failure coming. G-Row, let's talk about Greg Roman.
Yeah.
The separation of Harbaugh and Greg Roman, it's happened. They
man.
fired Greg Roman because someone had to get fired.
He had to just be sobbing through that whole call.
Probably.
You talking about Harbaugh?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not G-Row getting fired. This is Harbaugh being like,
G-Row might have
G-Row's
cried.
like, that
He might
makes
have
sense.
do you know how long I've waited for this call?
Hold on. What are you're firing me for what?
But again, we laid
for
out,
having a bad offense?
he had no offensive line.
Yeah, he did not.
And then you didn't have Amari and Hampton for most of the year.
And Najee. They lost Najee earlier.
And then it's like, you should have made it work. And sure. But it's the NFL. It's hard.
But this is the only offensive coordinator Harbaugh has had in the NFL. That's crazy to think about. Back in San Francisco, the Chargers.
The whole time?
Yeah, so now it's like, what are we going to see with Harbaugh and a new OC? I'm very hopeful that they can grab one. Like if McDaniel doesn't get a head coaching gig, I would love to see him.
We brought in our new OC. It's Greg Romaine.
Yeah, I was going to say it's
just in a terrible wig.
In a disguise. The Eagles have fired head offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo.
Yeah.
What? For what?
Yeah.
Man, this was the
on
easiest,
what grounds?
Yeah, I'm genuinely. I guess I'm not shocked, but I am surprised he made it all the way till after the season.
Well, yeah, they this will be Shane Steichen, the only one that Jalen Hurts has had back-to-back years. Offensive coordinator
going all the way back to Alabama. Lane Kiffin, Dable, Loxley, Sarkisian. I mean, it goes on and on.
I'm with you, Mike.
Yeah.
I'm with you. It's a Robin Hood thing.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Loxley.
There it is. There it is.
Goodness gracious. The question is, like, I've seen a lot of debate as to whether the offensive coordinators they've brought in have been bad or if they have to dumb it down because Jalen Hurts is bad.
Right.
And it's something that we're not in the room. We don't know for sure whether they are dumbing it down or not. But we have seen Jalen Hurts with outstanding offenses as a good enough passer. We've seen him win a Super Bowl. We've seen him lose in a Super Bowl where he looked outstanding offensively. So I'm not personally on the side that, like, I think that the offensive coordinator was a real problem this year for the Eagles.
If you had to break the offensive problems down into a pie chart, how big of a piece is Patullo eating? How big of a piece is A.J. Brown eating? How much do you lay at the feet of Jalen Hurts?
I'll lay 15% at Jalen Hurts, the vast majority at Patullo, and then I'll give like 10% to A.J. Brown, and that's just the 10% of routes he quits on.
Okay. Yeah, I think the Jalen Hurts debate is going to be one forever. And it's wild that it can be when you win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right.
But we've also had like
Gone to 2 Super Bowls, won
Yeah,
one.
not just the win one. It's
He's not good.
when you've been at 2.
what was Joe Flacco?
Joe Flacco, he's called a heater, and it happens. He got in the playoffs, and
You're talking about a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that year for Joe
Well,
Flacco
I think
was
that's the-
that dude was at the tables, and he was just point.
The Ravens were perennial playoff teams like the Eagles are. The Ravens were defensively led,
Right,
like
and-
the Eagles are.
And that particular year, Joe Flacco
Is that
was
the
just
Anquan
on.
Bolden year? I want to say
think so.
Derek Mason. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. Like, let me put it this way, and just for the sake of debate, because this is the offseason, we got to do this.
Yeah.
You're an NFL franchise, and you have a fantasy-style draft for your quarterback. You got the number 1 pick in the league, and go from there. Where does Hurts fall in? If you were truthfully drafting
Interesting.
quarterbacks,
That's
I think
fun.
that question. I mean, are you taking Justin Herbert for your franchise today, or are you taking Jalen Hurts?
Hurts, I think, would be top 10. I believe I would take Herbert above him.
Okay, so you're taking Burrow.
Oh, man, the Herbert.
You want to do the list?
Yeah, let's
do the list for fun.
Let's do
You're
the list.
taking Mahomes,
You're taking Josh Allen.
Allen.
Yes.
You're taking Lamar, for sure.
Yeah.
You're taking. You said Herbert. Well, you're taking Burrow.
Burrow.
Yes, for sure.
You're taking Herbert. You're taking Stafford.
I would not take
The
Stafford.
hard problem with
because of the
Stafford
age.
is he done?
I'm talking about you got to start a Super Bowl day.
Just
game.
one
No,
year?
this is just one
one
year.
year?
Well, yeah. I mean,
Oh.
I'm not looking at the age factor. I'm just saying from a talent standpoint at quarterback is
Then-
what,
yeah, then
what I'm trying
Staff-
to accomplish. I'm not trying to bring us into too tight of a box, but just like in terms of best quarterbacks
I mean,
in
if you're
football
going
today.
like that, then Stafford is probably like the 3rd pick.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that in the playoffs right now, there's 2 quarterbacks that are like that, Allen and Stafford. But that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jaden Daniels.
That's hard. That's debatable.
Man, I think I would take Jaden Daniels.
Okay, would you take Dak?
I think so.
I think I would take that.
I think I would take Dak.
Okay,
Here's
So
a real
go ahead. Give me more.
question mark. Again, this is for 1 year, not age is irrelevant.
this is yeah.
Drake May. Because
But-
what we've seen
but
has been
Jason,
awesome, but
The schedule.
I know the
If
schedule.
you answer that question, Drake May, we've answered the entire question.
I don't
with
think I
Jalen
do. I
Hurts.
think I go Jalen Hurts. If I'm getting 1 year, I think I go Jalen Hurts. Obviously, if I was building a franchise right now, the age gap and the youthfulness of Drake May, I would certainly go that way.
Okay,
Bo Nix, I would go Jalen Hurts.
I'd go Hurts too.
I would too,
Trevor Lawrence, he looked great. I would go Hurts.
probably.
So where does that put him in?
Top 12ish.
At 9.
Okay, so that's about
Unless
where I thought.
are there some big names we're forgetting? Anybody over there? Brock Purdy?
Baker?
Yeah, Purdy.
How about Brock Purdy and Baker Mayfield?
I like Purdy.
Dude, I think Purdy.
Shut up,
is-
San Francisco.
Yeah,
man.
that you don't.
It's like Purdy's not getting out of the top 2, guys.
He just beat him. So.
Purdy is great. Purdy is a very, very
Jacoby Brissett. No, I'm just kidding.
I believe that Brock Purdy is way better than he gets credit for.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jalen Hurts.
I think he's better than Jalen Hurts.
So you take him over?
I would take him over Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure this will be the comment, the comment maker for today's show. I just think it's a little bit weird, that situation, because I do feel like when your offense is bad, you're not always going to have a great offensive coordinator, right? Sometimes things are going to go a different direction. There have been quarterbacks, Baker, another one that's had a ton of different ones. Something falls at your feet. You got to figure something out. You got to learn to work in a system you don't love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a question of how do you go from 165, 157, 150 rushing attempts to 105 this year? Like, where did that happen? Was that Jalen Hurts is just like, I'm old, I'm tired of getting hit?
Caleb Williams.
Oh, Jalen Hurts. If there's a 1 year thing,
yeah, but
not,
like just
not you.
this year,
I think if you put
I think it still hurts, but Caleb is probably
yeah,
next year.
it's close, but I would go Hurts. I mean,
Jordan
Hurts
Love.
just
Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love's really good.
I'm gonna go Hurts.
Sam Darnold.
Can't
That's funny.
abstain.
I don't want to take anything away from Hurts. He deserves all the praise of being a Super Bowl winning, 2-time appearing quarterback doing what he needs to do. But I would not. I don't feel like he's ever carried them. So
yeah, I mean and this is
all
hard.
Subjective.
Yeah, it is
Subjective.
But it's like when you've seen a player throw for 3,700 yards multiple times, always rushing for. I mean, other than this year, 10 touchdowns, 13 touchdowns, 15 touchdowns, 14 touchdowns, throwing for in the 20s. That is a star. Like there's not many people that can produce that many touchdowns.
Who won the Super Bowl for him last year?
Who won the Super Bowl?
Last year was. Yeah, they didn't have Lane Johnson back for this game, right?
Correct.
So that was one of the big absences. And Saquon wasn't the same Saquon.
Not at all.
It's an infinite discussion. What else do we have? We have Bryce Young's 5th-year option getting picked up by the Panthers. He probably didn't have a choice there.
Made the playoffs.
I think
you've got Adam Thielen retiring from the National Football League.
And now I rest. I rest.
Oh,
and
boy.
eat early buffets.
$89.9 million in career earnings for
Dude,
Adam
good for
Thielen.
you, man.
Just the most ever for an undrafted free agent. Congratulations. Great career. Literally one of the best Minnesota Viking wide receivers of all time.
Jordan Addison arrested
Oh, my gosh.
for trespassing
From Adam Thielen to this.
at 3:46 in the morning on Tuesday morning.
One of the not best Vikings wide receivers of all time.
What was he doing? We don't know.
He was trying to race Rashi Rice for
yes,
off-season headlines.
The fact that Jordan Addison already has the super speeding situation, and then this weird mystery arrest, it's not good, man.
Kids, 3 to 4 in the morning. Just be asleep. That's what I do.
Well,
I always try to fall asleep during that time period because then nothing can happen.
Yeah, we don't have any details.
No, we don't know exactly what happened other than you said it might involve a casino.
Yes, that's where he was, I believe.
3:46 in the morning
Like
at a casino, Jason. I know
that
you've been
makes sense.
there before.
Yeah,
Sounds like a good time. Just be careful.
Nico Collins not seen a practice on Wednesday. Ricky Pearsall optimistic to return this week. I believe comments about Ricky Pearsall as far as I can throw them. Not far. I can't throw a comment very far.
The Nico
Collins folded into a paper airplane.
A little bit further.
The Nico Collins information is really important to track because this offense really needs him. I mean, I know that they
got Christian Kirk, man. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, they put up 40 points by the end of that game or 30.
The defense.
Yes,
did,
but the defense did.
The offense was into the fourth quarter was not good.
This next week they need Nico, and it's too early to know for sure, but it's trending that he's potentially going to miss that game.
Yeah.
He had the short week. 4 games. Let's go through them real quick. We're picking winners and losers. Fresh chance for you guys to make the right choices.
The fact that they had to play Monday night because of football and Monday, or football and money, and your player gets concussed on a Monday, like the other teams could have a Sunday concussion. Really easily can clear concussion protocol, be back. But on Monday is like that. It's the money machine. You can't stop it. But it's not fair.
It works in reverse though, because if you had a player that was hurt that might not have made it back for Sunday, that you get them back for Monday, we'd be saying it in the opposite direction.
Sure,
for the Monday night game.
Sure, I lean on the other side.
Broncos, Buffalo. Pick your winner. The game is in Denver, but they are home underdogs as a 1 seed. You know who I'm picking.
I'm going to pick alongside you. I'm going to take the Bills to make it to the Super Bowl. We basically said that earlier, which was even though we picked Jacksonville over the Bills, it was kind of
the Super Bowl would come from that group.
That path, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against.
Oh, Denver's favored now? It's been bet on the other side enough?
The Buffalo Bills last game, that literally it came down to the better quarterback won because the teams, it was very even the whole time. And then there were 2 huge opportunities at the end. One quarterback got it done. The other one did not. But I just don't think the Bills are a good enough team. And they'll run into one of these Sundays. But I'll do it. I'll take the Broncos.
The Seahawks at home against the 49ers.
the Seahawks will win.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Seahawks as well.
Me too.
No George Kittle, no pass rush. A pass rush will do Darnold in. They don't have one.
The Patriots
Stay
at home
safe, my king.
against Houston. The Patriots in Houston is going to be, I think, a very close game. I think this will be a difficult one. I picked New England to go to the conference finals. That's where I'll stay, the conference championship game. But, boy, that defense. It's going to be something that I feel like New England hasn't really experienced at all this year.
The Nico being gone is massive.
Yeah.
It's like this is massive. Not every single team, if you take off their top wide receiver, I'm as worried for that team.
And Christian Gonzalez, for what it's worth, should be back.
Right.
Look at what the Patriots did against Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Like the Patriots have a very good defense as well. I know the Texans have probably the best defense in the playoffs right now, so they could certainly win it for them. But I'm going to take the Patriots there.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Pats.
And the Rams away in Chicago. I've got the Bears. I don't think the Stafford Rams are going to travel to the Windy City and get it done. I think the Bears
I don't
find
blame you on that one. You're going to have frigid temperatures. I've seen a lot made of like Matthew Stafford is 1-9 in these very cold games. I don't have the data. I have to presume that a lot of those cold games came when he was playing for the Detroit Lions, who never won a lot of games because they were very, very bad at that point, and he's playing up in probably in Chicago in some of those. So I'm going to still take the Rams. I think they are the better team, but that's going to be a fun game.
I'll take the Rams too.
All right, we'll be back with the truth at the quarterback position.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
The wig fits finally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
11 years and we finally got
the
it.
graphic got redone, and
It looks good.
it is.
It looks good.
Honestly, Andy, I think maybe you
think I should go?
think about just every day in that thing.
Do we know why the powdered wig was a thing?
We looked this up once, I think.
Did we?
Yeah.
We're rotating back to our musings of old. Okay.
How like everything comes back, right?
I'm not that one.
Well, that was the point I'm
Not
going to get to
everything.
of my.
All the chastity belts are coming back.
That's fair, but my daughter, who is a junior in high school, just last week was like, "Dad, I wish you would have kept your Jinkos."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What?
Well, that one came back.
Like, we were ridiculous people.
Okay.
We were wearing pants that could house an entire family.
Yeah.
And we're like, they went away.
They're back.
Everything went to the skinniest of skinny. We're back. Like, did powdered wigs ever do that? Did they go in?
I don't
and
think
out, or in and out?
they're still. I think aren't they still used? Like in Europe, don't
Probably.
judges still wear them? I don't know. But according to our AI overlords, powdered wigs became popular for hygiene, hiding disease symptoms like syphilis-induced baldness, the powder masking odors from lice.
Is that the?
Is that truly?
That's why.
Is it really hygiene?
That's where
if
baldness
you're just
comes from,
covering
Jay?
it up? Like,
Is that where baldness?
Yes, this is syphilis, everybody. But
get
thankfully,
that
we
man a
graduated
curly
from
white wig.
powdered wigs to baseball hats.
But how was that the wig?
That
Was that the
pretty
best they
awesome.
could do back then?
That wig's awesome.
It's not real hair though.
I think in England they're called barristers.
Well,
The
why
attorneys,
not?
right?
Bears?
Why not?
Is it barristers?
The barrister bears.
Barristers.
The truth at the quarterback position. Here we go. Quarterback scoring overall. Here's some updates for you on the data we got from 2025. High-end scoring especially, all of it was down in 2025. We did not have one single quarterback average more than 23 fantasy points per game. In the last 5 years, we had one a year, and then back in 2022, we had three. So high-end scorers, not as much this year. Nobody above that mark, and then we only had one person above 22 fantasy points per game. Last year, we had four of those. So,
which is more normal. 4 in 2022, 5 in 2021. This wasn't a great year, and we could blame a lot of different things. I think there's some injuries. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, who was supposed to compete for that number 1 pick, got banged up and hurt and didn't do
no
very well.
Jaden Daniels.
Most of the NFL, everything is defenses eventually catch up.
The NFL averaged 2 fewer offensive plays per game this year, fewest total pass attempts since 2011, and the scramble rate at the quarterback position up, and away from 4.5 in 2021 to 5% in 2023 to now 5.5%.
It makes sense with all the youthful quarterbacks. You know, the guys that are going to run are the young guys, and you look and you're like, okay, Drake Maye runs. Obviously, Jaden Daniels ran when he was playing. Caleb Williams runs. Tyler Shuck runs. Jackson Dart runs.
Dart will never not run.
Yeah, Dart, stop running. And you can't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to live my life.
Yeah, and again, scrambles are a percentage of dropbacks resulting in undesigned quarterback runs where they just take off, and you mentioned some of the reasons why. We do have an article on the website, 25 quarterback statistics for the 2025 season. You can go look at that. But, Jason, talk to us about what the Truth Series is and what it's all about so people understand what we're going through the next couple of weeks.
So our goal here on not just quarterbacks, and there's the kind of different algorithmic scores for each position. Our goal is to really take a look at who helped you the most in fantasy, not just who finished first. Oftentimes who finished first helped you the most. That sometimes correlates. But as you go down the list, there are guys that's like, wow, he finished as wide receiver 5? I don't remember him being very good. That's because he wasn't. It's because he had like 3 monster games. And so we tried to break it down into basically what are great games for quarterbacks in our scoring format. We've got more than 26 points. What are good games if they score more than 21? What's a bust game? Under 15. There are other categories in behind the scenes. I got nuclear games. I got super bust games to try to break down. Like,
got it all, man.
What percentage of these games helped you versus hurt you, and how, not just like in general, what percentage helped you versus hurt you, but how does that compare this season to the field you would have been starting outside of this player? So the metrics change from year to year.
I think one of the perfect examples of this is like in the first 12 weeks of the season, Kyle Pitts hit double digits at the tight end position 2 times.
Yeah.
He ended up the number 2 fantasy tight end. Number 2 in total fantasy points. I'm guessing
week 15.
I'm guessing
baby.
that was one of your nuclear games, but
Yeah.
We'll look at the truth. We'll start at quarterback. We're looking at 4 point per passing touchdown. We define a great game when we talk about it as 26 or more points, so that's a super duper game. Good games, 21 or more points, and bust games if you score fewer than 15 points. We do not count missed games against your consistency score.
And we do take out by hand manually some of those week 18 games that, like Josh Allen, will not be penalized. Nobody was starting Josh Allen or Dak Prescott in those games where it's like you knew you can't start them because they might not play the whole game or they're just going to take one honorary snap. So, yeah.
Josh Allen,
Excellent.
as always, number 1 overall, even when his team led the league in rush rate and in total rushing yards, because he does some of that rushing himself. Consistency rank for Josh Allen, number 1 as well.
Yeah, this, like you talked about, this was a down year for quarterbacks. I was surprised that he was the number 1 in consistency. He still had a handful of bad games, but this year, pretty much all the quarterbacks had some down performances. So he gave you the most league-winning upside games. And so in the end, he was great. I don't think there's much to talk about. You look at how he's, quarterback 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 2. That he is as safe, as reliable, as consistent as they can get. He doesn't have weapons. It doesn't matter.
Well, let me read what I think the highlight is for Josh Allen, because if you just looked at his passing stats, go ahead and read them real quick. His passing stats, I've got them.
Yeah,
Why don't
why
you just
don't you just tell me what they are?
I thought you had them, Jay.
That's all right.
3,600 yards and 25 passing touchdowns. You're like, oh,
Meh.
man.
It's not great.
15 rushing touchdowns
It's
2
fine.
years ago, 12 last year, and 14 this year. So you're talking not just squeaking into the double digits. You're talking about super significant rushing touchdown totals that bring up his score. 25% great games, 56% good, and only 19% bust games for Josh Allen. And always with the ability to go nuclear and be the number 1 overall quarterback. 3 of those games this year at number 1 on the week.
For the love of all that is holy, get this man an elite wide receiver.
Yeah, he needs to he needs the new Stephon Diggs.
Just do it.
And we're not talking. Let me be clear. We're not talking about adding Mac Hollins in the middle of the offseason or, I don't know,
Brandon
Josh
Cooks.
Palmer or Brandon Cooks or Keon Coleman, a rookie in the draft.
Now,
we're not talking about Curtis Samuel either.
To be clear, we kind of were talking about Keon Coleman as far as like taking the shot on that first-round wide receiver that you think and you hope.
He was a second rounder.
Oh, it was the first pick of the second round or something like that?
We are talking about A.J. Brown. A.J.
Yes.
Brown works.
Yeah?
Sure.
So we're not talking about like
this stage, A.J. Brown?
I would take him.
I'm not saying he's bad, but I don't know that
for
that's
a year.
the fix.
For a year. All right, number 2. We're not, like you said, let's not linger on Josh Allen. We always talk
He was
about
good.
him.
You know he's good.
This one is the more interesting discussion. Number 2 overall, Drake Maye, 23 years old, the quarterback 15 in your drafts, with a consistency rank of 4. 24% great, 53% good, only a 6% bust rate, which is awesome. He is the most interesting to me, and Jason, I want you to talk about what you see in the truth from Drake Maye, because I remember from week 9 through about week 15, he wasn't in the top 10 at the position. So I remember that little period of time where we're like, well, has he cooled off? This team doesn't – they have a great defense. They can run the ball. Travion was getting involved. Stevenson was back. But then in the fantasy playoffs, quarterback 7, quarterback 2. And won people championships. But, does he feel like the consistency rank of 4? Is that representative in your mind?
I think it is because he got off to a slow start. He had that stretch in the middle of the year where he wasn't crushing people. He wasn't killing people or like, I lost because I was
hot start
because I was playing. Well, he had week 2 was really nice, but he had a lot of his busts.
2 through 4 were over 20, and then a bad one against Buffalo, and then 6 through 8. I mean, 2-3 game stretches right at the beginning, over 20 points.
His kind of sandwich of week 1 and week 5 hurt his consistency score.
Yeah.
If you were to take off the first 5 weeks of the season and look, and also that's when they weren't involving Travion Henderson as much early on. From week 6 on, he was the number 1 in consistency score. So this is a guy who just got better as the season went on. You saw that obviously in your fantasy playoffs. He won people championships, did everything that you hoped when you drafted him. I don't have a lot of negatives to say other than what we talked about Jaden Daniels, and we didn't get to see it play out this year, but Jaden Daniels, in his rookie season, he had one of the easiest schedules imaginable. It was awesome. And then we're like, well, how will he do with a tougher schedule? That's what we're going to learn next year.
Their schedule's going to change.
You can't complain about just dominating this year as the number 2 overall quarterback.
His draft spot next year will be very interesting to me because I think, especially if they get to the conference title game or beyond,
people are going to be in.
It's just going to be one of those players that's extremely exciting to have on your roster.
Yes.
And I'm not going to blame anybody for wanting to have him as their quarterback.
We were on Jaden Daniels this year, right? I think we watched the film and we're like, in the draft season, we were fine taking the shot on Jaden Daniels.
You're talking last year or this?
No, I'm talking going into this year's draft season. We were willing to take a shot on knowing that the schedule might be harder just based on the film and what you saw, and that's exactly how I feel about Drake Maye. When you watch the film, I know it wasn't tough pass rushes and great corners and all this, but what he did was perfection. Yeah. His pocket movement, his decision-making, his ball placement. It's like you can't ask for almost anything more than he did this year.
You will have a slight debate with me. Believing in Drake Maye is believing in a pocket passer to a much greater degree than believing in Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels ran for 890 yards as a rookie. So that will be a small difference. That's one of the reasons I had confidence in Jaden is that, hey, it doesn't matter how bad the defense or good the defense is, you're going to find a way with that kind of rushing yardage.
May was at 450.
Right, half that.
I think Mike's point is that's still a great number for most.
It is, but it's not going to be enough if he throws for 22 passing touchdowns.
Yeah, it's the difference between a Jackson Dart type of player versus a Drake Maye type of player.
But
one has
Maye
a nice baseline.
That was the 4th most rushing yards at the quarterback position.
One of the things I didn't mention for Josh Allen, he was much better at home. Allen was 26 points at home, 15 on the road. Drake Maye was much more even. He was actually better on the road, 3 points better per game. He had 12 top 12 finishes. He was great, and I think his draft spot will be very interesting because you're going to have a healthy Lamar starting next year. You'll have Jaden Daniels back in the equation. I put Drake Maye. Drake Maye will be in the Burrow area to me, probably behind Burrow.
I'll go Burrow.
That's what behind Burrow means. We agree with each other.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Were you talking?
He was looking in a mirror. Thought he was in front.
Yeah, it's just my screen's not on, guy. Wait, you guys use a screen? I'm just checking myself out.
No, so we agree, though. We would take Burrow above Drake
We
Maye.
do agree.
So, yeah, finishing at 2, being drafted maybe more in the 5 or 6 range. We'll see. Matthew Stafford comes in at number 3 in the fantasy football finish. 37-year-old Matthew Stafford, drafted by nobody, and with a consistency rank of number 2, Jason.
He was the thorn in my side of this consistency metric. With the scoring that we have, you've got a bunch of every year there's someone that just gets over like the threshold. There is arbitrary lines that we draw in the sand of like, well, a good game is this. It's like, oh, you got to score 15 points. But if you go out there and you score 15.1 3 times, he was on the bubble. So consistency rank of 2. Obviously, him or Maye, one of them is going to be the MVP this year. So not a lot to complain about. Threw touchdowns like crazy this year, which he hadn't been doing earlier. Thank you, Devontae Adams. That is very helpful. Obviously, for fantasy purposes, a great story coming from late in your draft to great. But I don't agree with my own ranking here of him being like number 2 in consistency, simply because he had a lot of non-bust games that were not super helpful.
He threw more touchdowns this year than his previous 2 seasons combined.
It was just an extremely special year. Devontae Adams made a tremendous difference in how they viewed the goal line packages, the touchdown totals. 35% bust rate for him compared to the 6% for Drake Maye. So, from that perspective, your risk when it went bad was much higher. But it didn't go bad very much, especially from week 4 on. I mean, if you had just locked in with Matthew Stafford from week 4 on, you were in much better shape than Drake Maye from a week-to-week basis, unless you started him in championship week. That would be the one week where it really, really hurts you. One of 6 quarterbacks ever with 4,746 in a season.
I mean, he is clearly going to be overdrafted to me next year. The way that I see it, exactly.
Interesting.
Because people are going to be unsure. He just looks great, assuming he's back and Devontae.
Well, I think
they roll it back
my
next year.
interesting was I think he'll just be left, not left for dead like he was this year, but
almost completely
left
for
to a
dead.
later quarterback.
I mean, if he is,
what did you say?
I think he's going to be overdrafted. I think what's going to happen with him is basically what happened with Baker Mayfield, where when you throw for 40 touchdowns and you look great, people are going to be like, I want 40 touchdowns again.
Baker was still
Age.
like
They won't.
Baker was still like a 7th or 8th round pick.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford will be beyond that.
If Matthew Stafford is a double-digit
He'll be
round guy, then obviously I will change.
11.
I'll be happy to take him in the 11th round.
I bet everybody we talk about today you'll draft ahead of him.
Probably true, but will other people?
By the way, he was
Baker was in the
bit better at
6th
home.
round as the quarterback 7 off the board, right behind Mahomes this year. So this year it seemed like, wow, that was to me like the one guy that seemed a little outlier-y from the year before, and
Stafford's just in a different category for me.
Yeah, maybe the age will keep him off of draft boards for people.
A little bit better at home, like I said, and then against top and bottom defenses pretty evenly distributed. Number 4, Trevor Lawrence.
Crazy.
Number 4, Trevor Lawrence, who has a consistency rank of 6. Number 1 in the second half of the season.
Number
in consistency.
21 in the first half. It didn't even look like it was going to be a special season at all. But what happened when this team got it together after their bye week, basically when they came out of their bye week, I kept waiting for them to not be as good as they had been playing, and they just won game after game after game. Their offense looked great, and they were, a very rare little missed field goal away from going into overtime
Right.
with the Bills in the playoffs. This team is fully legit, and I just don't know. Trevor Lawrence has always looked good on a highlight reel. You put on his highlights, it's like, wow, this is a special player, talented, athletic.
He's a lot like
can
Caleb.
run.
He's a lot like Caleb.
Yeah, but his most consistent feature has always been his inconsistency.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden, the second half of the year, he never stopped.
Didn't you guys get concerned about ETN in the first half of the year after he had the hot streak, and it was like, oh, look at these rushing defenses he played? And from that point on, it was like they threw the ball so effectively with Trevor Lawrence, and you wouldn't have expected it necessarily with Travis Hunter going out, with Brian Thomas disappearing, and yet both of those things happen, and then he has his run of #1 overall consistency. 18% great games, 41% good games, 29% bust, which is a higher number, but man, those first 4 weeks, first 7 weeks, those really hurt. What
29% bust games is not the end of the world, and it's the snapshot of his career of 2021, 0% great, 6% good. The next year, 12 great, 35% good. Okay, we're on the path, but then it drops to 6 and 19. Last year, 0% great games, 20% good, and this year, 18%, 41%. I mean, these are massive upgrades, and did the new offense click halfway through the year? The Liam Cohen offense it's good. The Cohen offense with what happened last year with the Bucs and this year with the Jags, he knows what he's doing. So it's just, do you?
This is
buy
the one.
into that?
This is the one where overdraft concern comes to mind.
Because
I think I could talk myself into him being great.
Yep.
I mean, Parker Washington, Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas.
I love that we lead with Parker Washington, deservedly so.
Brenton Strange, Jacoby Myers. We'll see what the running back situation looks like.
And if they're going to use his legs, which that was one of the things that this was the most
they'll use his whole body.
Ran for 359 yards
the thing is,
and 9 rushing touchdowns.
It's the 9 rushing touchdowns because he's had 2 other years over 300 rushing yards, and year 2 was 291. So he was right there. It was the rushing touchdowns spiking, which that happened with Baker last year as well. So
with Liam Cohen,
right?
Yeah.
So perhaps that is just the way that the defense has to play. It opens things up for a little bit more of the quarterback scrambling.
He is one of 2 quarterbacks that has had 4,000 passing, 29 passing touchdowns, and 9 rushing touchdowns in the same year.
Josh Allen.
Wow. Crazy. Different quarterback from week 9 on than what we have ever really seen before. And couldn't get it done against Josh in the playoffs. Had his opportunity, had the ball in his hands at the end of the
So this episode is supposed to be the truth. And he is the biggest question mark of the truth. When you say, which one's true? First half Trevor Lawrence, which is also known as first 5 years of career of Trevor Lawrence, or the second half of this special season, but he's only 26 years old.
If you had to lock Dak Prescott or Trevor Lawrence in as your quarterback for the entirety of next year today,
I would do Dak.
I would need to know that George is there.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. All right, let's take a break, and then we'll talk about Dak. This episode is supported by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making picks for the first time, trying something new, well, that can be difficult. But in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. I'm talking to Papa Josh here. It always feels good to be more right than Papa Josh. Look, Prize Picks now has early payouts. I just found out about this. If your player gets off to a hot start, you've got the option now to cash out on those winnings before the game even finishes. And they have a social feeds feature. You can share your Prize Picks with your friends. You can copy lineups from winners with one click. My only rule is you don't follow or accept friend requests from Papa Josh himself. Look, how simple is it to get started? We come from the app development world. We love the Prize Picks app. It's super easy to use. It's just smart and clean and easy. It's not like anything else out there. It's made the sport watching experience super fun. It just adds some value to the sport watching experience, and we absolutely love it. So you can download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code Footballers to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is the code Footballers to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. At number 5, Dak Prescott of the Cowboys. Traded Micah Parsons. Didn't have the year they hoped they'd have, but from a fantasy perspective, the 32-year-old Dak Prescott, drafted in the 10th round, ended up being one of the best values at the position. Consistency rate was number 5 overall, so exactly where he finished in fantasy points. 19% great, 56% good, 25% bust rate. Yeah, I mean, the Dallas storyline was an interesting one all year long. We had the Javonte Williams breakout. He almost won a footy, right, for comeback player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
People didn't expect the running game to be as good as it was. They also didn't expect the defense to be as bad as it was,
Right.
historically bad. That's something they're trying to – they fired the defensive coordinator. They're trying to address that this offseason to some degree, and they did address it in part via trade with Quinnen Williams and partway through the season. So I do – look, we all want the legendary worst defense of all time.
And they have draft capital, right? Because of they
Yes.
traded Parsons, so they should have a chance at least to bring in some impact players.
So, I mean, I think that there is a, we're going to look back at this season and say that's probably the worst the defense is ever going to be. But Dak has been very, very good for a very, very long time since he, as long as he's got those weapons. How big of a differential do you look at, Jason, if George is gone versus George being there and you're ceiling for Dak on a week-to-week basis?
I don't see George as absolute mission critical for Dak to succeed. Is he helpful? Absolutely. It's just great to have another good target, but it's not like he had, George 2 years earlier when Dak was the quarterback 3. He was the quarterback 5 this. What's that?
See, you had a CeeDee Lamb who was 2 years younger.
Sure. CeeDee Lamb, I mean, that was the year where CeeDee Lamb and Dak won everybody championships, but they didn't really have a wide receiver 2 of note. I think that was Brandon Cooks. Whatever. My point is, I think Dak can get it done. Basically, if Dak plays a season, you look back at his entire career. He has 3 years where he didn't play 16 games. And in those, they were lost, busted seasons to catastrophic injuries. So take those out. Every other year of his career, he's been a quarterback 1. And most of the time, he's a top 6 quarterback. So
his consistency's always been below where he finishes, though. So that's been more of the volatility with Dak. The great years, he's even this one, right? He's a little bit lower than where he finishes in terms of some weeks it just doesn't seem to work out for him. Other weeks it looks like he's unstoppable, more momentum-wise. I mean, even in this season, you had bookended weeks of 4, 2, 3, and 4. Those are amazing. 25th against Minnesota and 18th against Arizona in a game you thought he would kill. That's just one thing that stands out to me a little bit with Dak. Much better at home as well, 6 points better per game at home. Is CeeDee the same CeeDee? That'll be a question.
I think CeeDee is outstanding, a top 10 NFL wide receiver, but I doubt that CeeDee Lamb is, like Mike said, he was 2 years younger 2 years ago, and that makes a difference. I don't think CeeDee's going to have he's already had his best year of his career when all is said and done, but he's still a fantastic, top option.
Set his career high in passing yards and passing attempts, and the passing attempts should come down if they can improve their defense.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been the first ever Dallas Cowboy to lead the NFL in passing yardage. He was leading, I believe, going into the final week of the season.
Stafford passed him, or?
Yeah, Stafford, and I think someone, maybe Goff passed him, but it was like he didn't play the game.
Yeah, they shut him down.
They shut him down and let Milrose place in there. Or is that
no? You're
Milton.
You're thinking of Milton.
Yeah,
Bazooka
you went
Joe.
Jalen Milroe.
Bazooka Joe. Yeah. So that I don't know. I feel like they did him dirty.
902-1 Joe.
I feel like they did him a little dirty. I get it. You're not playing for anything. See what you got there. Don't get that.
Didn't he play some of that game?
He played about half. Yeah.
Okay. Number 6, Caleb Williams, 24 years old, drafted in the 12th round. Consistency rank for Caleb of 10. That feels about right. 12% great games, so not a huge number there. 41% good, 35% bust. Are we figuring it out with Caleb? Is this Luther Burden, Colston Loveland? Like, look, if you look at those two
Mr.
players,
Loveland.
if you tell me moving forward, they're the two I'm most excited about in your offense. In this 17-game sample, you had contributions from them in about 4 games. Not much, right? Loveland was a
Yeah.
late season addition. Burden kept getting banged up and then, barely worked into the offense. I think Caleb is going to be probably the most controversial quarterback to draft because I could see he'll go way
He
above
will
Matthew
be
Stafford. He'll go
so highly drafted. You're going to have to you're going to have to call your shot on Caleb. And you're going to say, because of what we've seen from these weapons, what we've seen from Loveland the last couple weeks of the regular season, these playoff weeks, what we've seen from Burden, knowing that you'll have a healthy Roma Dunze, a year 2 in the Ben Johnson system, there will be someone in every single league that will take Caleb so high, top 5 quarterback drafted, because all it takes is one person in each league to believe that he's going to be the superstar, special, really break out to the next level player.
when you look at and did you have a concluding thought there? Sorry.
My only concluding thought is I won't be that guy pulling the trigger.
It's interesting because these guys, the last 3 we debated with Lawrence and Stafford and now Caleb, it's like we love your play caller. We love them.
Mm-hmm.
We love Sean McVay.
Mm-hmm.
We love Liam Cohen.
Yeah.
And we love Ben Johnson. And so from a predictive standpoint, those are the guys that you want to look at and say, like, Baker's changing them every year. Jalen Hurts is changing them every year. These 3 guys, those are your play callers next year. So if you want to, hang your hat on something, that gives you a little bit of confidence that it can at least stay around where they're at now. Caleb took advantage of bad defenses more than any of these other quarterbacks we've talked about so far. He was 6 points better against bottom half defenses than he was top half defenses.
It's not uncommon, but there's some red flags here of Caleb Williams completed 58% of his passes.
Unacceptable.
That is the only, let's see, Shadur and J.J. McCarthy were worse among qualifiers. Like,
Dude, I'm telling you, if you watch Caleb Williams this year, I want to see the stats. First drive, from the second drive to the second to last drive. That part of the game. Because first, the scripted drive for every Bears game, it was like, wow, Caleb's good. 9 of 10 passing. Just looks sensational. It's like they come out and they look hot. And then he sucks until they're down by a couple scores.
Right.
And like, if you could take just the first part of the first quarter and the second half of the fourth quarter away, I feel like he's got to be like 25% completion percentage.
I want to know what his splits are, completion percentage of passes completed or attempted with both feet on ground.
That's probably 3%.
And then passes with at least 1 foot in the air or none.
So his completion percentage dropped 5% this year.
Yeah, that's
one of the red flags that you're talking about.
It's concerning.
And that is, it was a new offense. Maybe that had something to do with it. The fact that he was at 63% before, maybe he can get back there. But
And it's like
that is not something you
touchdown
want to
rate
see.
went up substantially. The interceptions did not. He is a very bizarre player because I think
You would think the offensive line improvements would improve the completion percentage, but he's also challenging down the field a lot.
he has true elite attributes for a quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, man. His laser beam.
But
is,
as like right now, I don't think he's a great quarterback.
Which
like,
I mean that's
He could, but
I
when
think you're 100% right, and I think that's what's so tantalizing about
But
it.
with
that's
Ben
the
Johnson,
hope is like, what if he develops into
if he Josh Allen's, he will be a top 3 quarterback. Or if he's Josh Allen, you're like, I'm the best quarterback in the league. But I mean, you take that type of a jump, he will be a top 3 quarterback in the league.
the thing that is frustrating about these weapons should be affirming for Caleb Williams. You don't know where the ball distribution is going to go. Is it Rome? Is it Burden? Is it Loveland? DJ Moore is going to get a few as well, but they all go to Caleb Williams. And this is an offense that I think everybody wants a piece of. This, like you look at this offense, they scored 31 points, 47 points, 31, 31, 38. Like they're putting up big time fantasy performances.
When you target Colston Loveland, you complete 72% of your passes.
Oh, Mr. Loveland. Yeah, we have the numbers.
That'll help.
They're weird.
They're weird.
This will shock you.
Okay.
A stat about Caleb Williams, and it's weird.
Okay. I'm shocked.
First quarter, he completed just under 61% of his passes.
Okay. So up from his average.
Second quarter,
We're going to take that one off.
53.75%.
Yep.
of
Okay, that's what I saw. Okay.
halftime. Get it going. Third quarter. Completes almost 63% of his passes.
all right.
Fourth quarter. Completes just over 56% of his passes.
Oh man, that's why it's got to be the final drive.
He loves the odd quarters.
It's not. Yeah. He's an odd cat. Loves those
So
odd
weird.
quarters.
He's an odd
So
cat.
weird.
He plays well on the odd quarters.
I will say this. I want to recognize this and watch it for however long the Bears are in the playoffs. I think 1 week, but maybe several. We used to play a game in the office while we watched Caleb Williams, Mike and I.
Yes.
Where whenever he took the snap, especially in shotgun, we'd basically just start screaming at the TV like, oh, crap, oh, crap, oh, crap. And it's really fun because that's what it looked like was running through Caleb Williams' head every time he had the ball.
Before he even gets to read one.
Yes.
He's like, oh, crap.
It didn't look that way the last couple weeks. The last couple of weeks I saw
When he was fading backwards with his feet up in the air.
No, there were plays that did, but it used to be every play. And now it's like I saw plays where I was like, hey, he's
got some
actually
poise.
just in the pocket, making a read and taking a shot. So he is obviously very young. He's only in year 2, 24 years old. He can take that level up, and he's got the weapons and everything built around him to do
It'll
it.
be exciting. And at a minimum, he's going to be
It's going to be
high-
expensive.
Yeah. He'll probably be the too expensive guy.
Probably.
Bo Nix at 7, consistency rank of 12. Really disappointing year for Bo Nix. That's my summary of this year.
I am in agreement.
12% great and 29% good, and 35% bust. This is kind of. I feel like you have drawn a line now in these. The first 6 versus where we're at with Bo Nix. You came in with high expectations. 7th round draft pick, right? So drafted ahead of your Caleb Williams, drafted ahead of Lawrence, ahead of Dak, ahead of Stafford certainly. And really just, I'm going to say it, like, just not good for fantasy.
Not at all. There were big performances from time to time. You couldn't always predict when they were going to come. Sometimes it looked like the Broncos played down to their competition, so you'd be like, oh, they're going to wipe the floor with this team, and then they just didn't. Their offense was sometimes awesome and sometimes didn't travel with them. And, you talked about play callers. I still like Sean Payton. I like his offenses and his teams for production. So I'm confident, obviously, that he'll have that rolling into another year and another year going forward.
What'd you love about Dallas?
I loved that their defense was so bad that you had to score 30 to win.
That's a bit of a problem for
It
Bo.
is a real problem because the Broncos' defense is darn good.
And I'm not sure he could do it if they needed him to.
I'm not sure he couldn't do it if they needed him to.
Well, look, Bo Nix, I do not think that the way he played this season locks him in as their starter for the next 5 years. I'll put it that way.
I think, getting the number 1 seed, I think does it.
Oh, it's a fair argument. 3,925 with 11 picks. It's fine. It's fine. Right?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was fine. He was. I mentioned this a couple shows ago. That I think the 2 quarterbacks that, there's different approaches in your draft season, and for us, I think universally, I know at least for me, the 2 late targets were Bo Nix and Drake Maye. Those were the guys that projected to take that leap forward. They had a rushing baseline. They liked their offenses. Blah blah blah. One was good, one was bad as a pick.
Yeah, let me give you some numbers here. Weird season. And by the way, people need to remember, and I'll remind them so the comments are less inflammatory. We're talking about fantasy football. Just because, look, Bo Nix was not a very useful fantasy football quarterback. That doesn't mean they're not the number 1 seed, right? It didn't mean he didn't accumulate some stats. It meant on a week-to-week basis, his consistency rank barely got him in the top 12 at the position and wasn't what we expected from the 7th round pick. Among 38 qualifying quarterbacks with 200-plus dropbacks, he was 24th in completion percentage, 1st in sack rate.
Wow,
right?
I did not know that.
30th in off-target rate. That's not good.
Both of those feel like a Caleb Williams number. That's what's supposed to be Caleb Williams, not Bo Nix.
And 3rd in 20-plus air
like
yard
that.
attempts. We like that one. So, and by the way, 1st in sack rate means sacked the least.
Yeah, he's protected.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
He's protected.
all right.
The bat.
That's
which
why I was
makes-
so surprised.
It
I was
makes
like, I
the
did
red
not see that.
flags even
it
worse.
makes the red flags annoying because he did have time, right? He takes shots down the field. Those pay off sometimes. He doesn't get sacked a lot, but then he completes the 24th most percentage of passes and then is off target like crazy, which we saw all the
Oh
time.
my gosh.
Nobody loves running out of the pocket and missing a throw more than Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Like, I swear in his head he's going, I'm Patrick Mahomes when he does that.
He has a superstar wide receiver too now, though, so it's okay.
Which one are you talking
Oh, come on. Oh, yeah, that guy. That guy.
Listen, Mike, you need to leave some room for your guys so that when they are superstars for real, you can then like have a way to describe them.
Right.
No,
if you describe Pat Bryant
is
as a
not the
superstar today, then later on, if he does become one, you don't have any more words left.
no, I do. It's still superstar.
Okay. All right.
And I'll be at the party.
let
And then,
me
and then
just-
everyone can show up, and I'm going to
Let me just
be
see what,
belligerent.
I can't remember numbers for superstars, so let me see. Is it
Yeah, let's hear it.
31 for 378?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
in 1 year?
Yeah.
He did have one touchdown.
Yeah.
Wow.
He did catch
Mhm.
31 passes on.
You know who I'd rather have?
No, you would not.
Yes, I would.
No,
I
you
think
wouldn't.
so.
I would 100%
I
rather
think
have.
realistically, that makes sense. You wouldn't take Franklin?
No.
Hmm.
Pat Bryant is the 2. Pay attention.
What do you mean he's the 2?
He's the 2.
You're
Moving
saying
forward.
he's going to be the
Yes,
2
he is the 2 moving forward.
because 709 and 6 says that someone else was the 2.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. The numbers say something. You can like him, Mike, but the year Mike is over.
Yeah. Calendar has turned.
Do we want to talk about one more quarterback? Do we got time for that?
Sure, he's the
I
most
don't know,
consistent
man.
one out there.
He is?
Well, he's consistent in that he finished as the quarterback 8 on the season. His consistency rank on the season was quarterback 8. His first half consistency rank was 8, and his second half consistency rank was 8. So I would say he was darn consistently what he was this year.
Consistently.
Number 8.
Number 8. It's Jalen Hurts. And we had the discussion to start the show. Definitely didn't deliver on a quarterback 3 draft spot in the 3rd round.
No,
So that was a big time bummer.
it was Patui.
Real struggle against top 16 defenses, 5 to 6 points less in the tough defensive matchups, much better at home. So if you were on the road against a tough defense, you didn't see very much fantasy production. I'm looking at this game log. I'm not seeing very many of the kind of like vintage Jalen Hurts wins you your week type of weeks. 13% great, 44% good, 31% bust. The designed runs were down. We talked about that. It was inexcusable to me. Didn't have the protection of the running game being as good as it was last year with Saquon Barkley. Constant controversy with the pass catchers. 3,200 yards and 25 touchdowns. I mean,
Yeah, this was his lowest percentage of great games in the last 5 years, his lowest percentage of good games in the last 5 years, and the highest percentage of bust games in the last 5 years.
yeah, that's
it was
a big deal.
It was a really bad year. If you drafted Jalen Hurts and just tried to ride him, he was okay. He didn't crush you, but he didn't return on the draft capital. And now the question going forward next year, what is the truth? Are the weapons going to get better? Is another year older A.J. Brown going to be more motivated next year? How's this defense? The defense is part of the problem. Same for Bo Nix. A lot of the games that the Eagles won this year, they did so without needing a lot from their offense because their defense was so doggone good. But I believe that getting a new offensive coordinator, TBD on who they hire, but getting another one in there will be just awesome. Patullo it was like, I feel like it was just the same formation almost every play, and it's the same route. It would just looked like he had 3 plays all season.
He was definitely a problem, but we are going to go into the offseason with mysteries here that aren't going to be solved until you see them play football. Especially when it comes to like we know what Devontae Smith's he'll be there and he'll be good. But the A.J. Brown question mark, the new offensive coordinator question mark, Saquon's going to get a year older. What's the running game look like? What is that? Is Lane Johnson going to be healthy? Is the offensive line going to be healthy? They've got a lot of money locked up in these void years. They might have to do some reworking of their situation.
Yeah, Barkley like Barkley last year and Henry also, where it was like, they kind of had to, hey, know what? No, elite running backs are worth the money. You got to go get them. They can change your team. And you're like, don't worry about how old they are. Ugh. We really flipped that on its head because Barkley is not worth what he's being paid right now.
And look, if they bounce back,
then he'll be worth it.
Everything's great. If they don't, you tell me Philly has patience for Sirianni?
I can't believe he is holding his job.
You're going to have an.
He literally won the Super Bowl last year.
I understand that.
It's Philadelphia. He's also got. He's very loud.
If they have a disappointing year next year, he will get kicked in the sack out of town for sure.
Okay,
that's how Philly does it.
Get kicked out of town.
Yeah.
We are going to wrap it up, but I'm going to give you number 9 and number 10, just the numbers. Jared Goff came in at 9, consistency of 11, 12% great, 35%
good in the second half.
35% bust. But yeah, Jared Goff definitely finished stronger, but not week 17. Don't pay attention to that. Justin Herbert came in at 10 with a consistency rank of 9. It's funny because you look at these game logs and it's like
they didn't help you.
Well, they didn't help you, and like I'm just remembering the reaction to Justin Herbert in week 1. One good week of Herbert. Just remember this. We always have we're going to have our 10 things to remember episode.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert's one of mine because
the Herbros.
It was like
Out
the
of
most
control.
confirmation bias you could ever have. It was like, well, I love Justin Herbert, right?
Yeah.
We all love him. He could be great. We've seen him great before. And then it's like Harbaugh and Giro. Let's go. Let's see what he's got. Oh my gosh, Kansas City finished number 2. Look, a lot of trades were made after week 1 to either get him or cash in, and it didn't work out after that point pretty much. 25% great.
It worked.
Look, 25% great's a good number. Like, so if you had a blow-up game, that's cool. You got a handful of those. You really didn't finish in between the great and the bust very often. 25% great, 50% bust games. That doesn't work. That's the least kind I want at quarterback.
Here's the truth about quarterbacks to wrap up the episode of The Truth About Quarterbacks. We just looked at the top 10, and when you get past the top 6, they hurt you almost as much as they helped you. They didn't return on draft capital, even though, like Justin Herbert finishes the quarterback 10, wasn't really helpful. So therefore, either you get one of the studs or you stream the position because matchups matter as much. I mean, if you just are playing Justin Herbert or Jared Goff or these guys every single week, they're not going to help you win. You need to get multiple guys or stream off the waiver wire, get a Jacoby Brissett off the waiver wire, get, Trevor Lawrence off the waiver wire and just
Tyler Shuck.
Yeah, play the heaters. I mean, I lost a championship in the listener league to Tyler Shuck.
The nice thing is you're obviously going into the season trying to find that diamond in the rough, and if you get your Drake Maye, you're happy, and if you get your Bo Nix, you pivot and you stream because you didn't invest too much. So let's get into the face-off.
Fantasy Face-Off, presented by Prize Picks.
All right, Jason, lucky you.
Wheel of Shame.
Well. Jason ended up losing. Mike and I think we were 3 for 4. Jason was some combination of 2 for 3 or 2 for 4. Nico was 3 for 21 in the.
Should have tied, but let's spin that wheel, baby.
I should have gone 4 for 4 if we're going with that logic.
Oh, did you have Nico?
No.
What is this one?
No, but I had a guy who didn't hit his projection.
Smoking!
Oh, yeah, baby. The mask.
Oh, my goodness. This is what we got for you. Oh. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. He might die for real.
Jason, you can do it.
I lost it here.
I believe in you, Jason.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
Oh, that's not terrifying.
This doesn't even look like the map. This just looks like a green alien.
Yeah, you're frightening.
It's very stretched out.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Can you breathe?
Enough.
All right, starting at the quarterback position this week, it's my Green Goblin at the quarterback position. Brock Purdy, 0.5 passing touchdowns. I'm taking the more.
The mask doesn't wear glasses.
The mask.
He's a superhero,
I'm a
Jason.
librarian.
Oh, think about a superhero wearing glasses.
The mask is a superhero?
Yes, he is. Once the mask is on.
Brock Purdy more than 0.5. Mike, what do you got?
I went with Caleb Williams, 231.5 passing yards. I'm going more.
That was almost mine.
We're going.
Yeah.
Let's get crazy, man.
Yep.
Caleb Williams. I don't know what he's going to do, but let's enjoy the ride.
I've got Matthew Stafford
Those glasses are falling off your face.
on the other side. I've got Matthew Stafford on the other side. I'm going 19.5 fantasy points. I'm
Oh,
going more. I think that's
Okay.
going to be a shootout
That's
in that
fun.
game.
At the running back position, you know him. You love him. His name's Ramondre Stevenson.
Oh, my
yeah.
gosh.
He's
I'm taking the rushing
He's playing
and
well.
receiving combo of 59.5. I'm taking the more.
you are the mask went to a retirement home. What are you doing
I
with those?
can't see.
This is my Green Goblin. You got Ramondre. I got Travion Henderson because all he needs is a catch.
What?
A catch.
That's your
a
Green
good-
Goblin?
That's a good find.
Well,
Mike.
because-
It's 0.5?
If he has a catch, it will be more than the projection of 0.5.
That's what it is?
Yes.
Wow, that's
Okay.
a good
I was like,
find.
okay, next one.
All right, sir.
Mine is Travion Henderson, 0.5.
Oh, yeah.
No, not really.
Oh,
I just wish it was.
That's a good one.
That was a good one. No, I've got your other guy who is my Green Goblin, Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, my king.
He needs more than 39.5 rushing yards
Oh.
for me to hit.
Dude, you want me to confess something here?
Yeah,
Is he your goblin?
he is my Goblin.
Yeah, because the non-goblin Christian McCaffrey projection was like 57.5
yeah, it was
rushing
pretty
yards,
high.
and I was like,
You almost went
I
100.
know what I have to do, which is take the less, but I won't. I won't do it.
Yeah,
Even though it's the right thing to do, I won't.
at 39.5,
Yeah, you think you got it? All right.
CMC's got that.
My wide receiver, it's going to be Khalil Shakir because,
Oh,
well,
okay.
he's got to use him.
Does he?
7 receiving targets.
Oh,
I'm
that's a
taking
lot.
the more for
Okay.
Khalil Shakir.
All right.
Yes, he does have to use him. They lost Gabe Davis to an ACL.
That's right. They did, yeah.
They do not have reliable weapons. They're going to 4 of those targets are going to be screen game targets right out of the bat.
Sure.
I'm taking 7, and I'm taking the more.
Interesting.
I have Cortland Sutton. His
Ooh.
projection is at 4 receptions. I'm going more.
I've got Cortland Sutton. His projection is 6.5 targets. I'm going more.
Well, I hope we're both right then.
And no surprise here, maybe.
Oh, come on now.
Colston Loveland.
Mr. Loveland.
Mr. Loveland.
Mr. Loveland, 4.5 receptions. I'm taking the more.
Mr. Loveland, 4.5 receptions. I will take the more.
Mr. Loveland, 55.5 receiving yards.
Oh.
I'm taking the more.
Oh, all right.
Triple Loveland there, huh?
Yeah.
All right, that was Fantasy Faceoff presented by Prize Picks. Join millions of users and sign up for America's #1 fantasy sports app. Use the code FOOTBALLERS and get $50 in lineups when you play $5. I want the people at home to know one thing before I close this show out, which I'm sure Jason wants me to do as fast as possible.
Why?
Jason put a true effort together for you to get this mask on his face.
Oh, yeah. It's
It
never
was,
coming off.
I have never seen some, because we normally, you
You're
know,
the mask now.
we just have to
I
hope
am
they
the mask.
fit. You are the mask.
Someone get
We're
me
going to have
some-
to get the scissors.
This is the end of the episode. Cut him out of the mask. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Enjoy the games this week, and I cannot wait.
Goodbye.
Smoke it.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.